Okay, here we are with our friend Arjava, and we are going to talk about a few things: meditation, Reiki, and the next coming to Mallorca in September the 12th this year, 2025. And especially, we are going to talk about this book released very recently in Spanish. But first of all, how are you, Arjava?
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure talking to you. And maybe we start by talking a little bit about this book. Yeah, this is one of my babies that was recently published in Spanish. And I wouldn't have it here if it weren't for you, because you translated it. So thank you very much for doing all this work. And
It's a pleasure
also,
and an honor to do it because it's a very important book and it is worth to have it.
also my friend Isabel Pesquera, she took care of that and did a lot of editing with another friend, Alvaro. So it was a big labor of love. And this book is all about my personal experience, my life experience, dealing with myself, my pleasure, my pain, my challenges, my joys, my dreams and aspirations, everything that is happening in my life, you will find in there. The way that it was written was really people asking me, saying, hey, we see you, you seem to be so relaxed and you seem to be in a good space most of the time. Not always, of course. How do you do it? And instead of answering, because that answer would have been terribly long because I'm such a storyteller, I could continue talking for days and for weeks.
I know.
I thought I thought perhaps the best way to answer that question would be to write a book about it, and that's what I did during the COVID times. I suddenly found myself with so much time that I published a number of volumes of poetry and this one, yeah, and part of my autobiography as well. So I'm glad to have that in Spanish now for you guys to enjoy. In it, you will find many different tricks, many different hacks, different meditations, meditation techniques, self-inquiry, all sorts of things. I think you will really enjoy it. It's a nice. It came out very nice.
What would you say to the person that wants to begin to start meditating? What would be the first thing to say?
The first thing to do, in my opinion, is to do breathing exercises. In the book, you'll find a number of breathing exercises, but you don't necessarily need a book or my book to start breathing properly. You just need somebody to show you how to do it, how to breathe down into your lower abdomen, and that's going to change your life. This is the most important thing before setting out trying to meditate, which is going to be difficult if you don't have any previous experience. The first thing to do is to get into a beautiful, nourishing, healthy breathing rhythm and breathing style, yeah? Bringing the energy, the breath down to the lower abdomen. There are lots of techniques available for that from different cultures, from China, from India, from Japan. Doesn't matter what you do. which technique you use, just learn to bring the breath down into the lower abdomen. And I personally, I prefer techniques that don't regulate the breath much. Okay, at certain times that may be a good idea, but for your daily practice, don't regulate it, just let it come and go as it does naturally. Breathe through your nose. That's why we have this thing like this here in the middle of our face. So breathe in and out through your nose and bring the breath down to the lower abdomen, about 2 or 3 fingers width below your navel, 2 or 3. And maybe we can just do it quickly together, those of you who are watching, and the 2 of us. So you breathe in through your nose, and as you breathe in, push your belly out. Yeah, so do exactly what you were taught not to do when you were a kid. Yeah? When I was a kid, we learned, okay, when you breathe in, the chest comes out and the belly is tucked in, but we should do it exactly the other way around. Yeah? The belly comes out. Yeah? Push it out as far as it goes, and then breathe out and breathe in again.
So, how did you get this title for this book?
This was theft. Yeah, I stole it. I stole it from a Zen master, one of my favorite Zen masters called Shunryu Suzuki Roshi. He was an amazingly beautiful man. And he, in one of his books, I think it was called The Crooked Cucumber, it's all about interactions between him and his students. One of the things he relates is that many times he was talking to his students and he said something about this is life as it thinks as they is. And then his students were looking at him like this and going like, ooh, I think, Sensei, you're making a mistake. It should be things as they are. And he says, okay, grammatically speaking, you're probably right, but as far as life is concerned, it's not things as they are, but things as they is. So he was helping them understand that any kind of duality makes you suffer. And if you want to get rid of that duality or that duality driven mind, then one good way to do it is to think differently, to persuade your mind to think differently and to see things as they is. That's where I got the title from. Huh?
A very,
And
very nice
to
way to explain how everything is interconnected
yes,
and uh, all is one, as in the one of your last books, One with Reiki. And
yes.
it's another very nice book that you wrote, and we have it in Spanish. And it's the experience to be one with everything.
It's really the most simple thing, and the simple things often turn out to be quite difficult. Yeah? So the reason why this book, oops, upside down, starts with 3 dots and then ends with 3 dots is because life is just space, infinite space. And we have to learn to take the attention away from the small self from the person that I call me, I, me, mine, Arjava, Hos, and move that attention to that spaciousness that is happening all the time. It is. It's always present, the eternal presence, so beautiful. So beautiful. Sometimes we live in a very beautiful, on a beautiful Greek island in Lesbos, and sometimes I practice this kind of state of mind when I'm driving, and sometimes I actually have to stop because I get so spaced out from the space, the spaciousness, when you keep your eyes open like windows and you just see this incredible space and filled with consciousness everywhere. Yeah? And then you kind of get confused. You go like, ooh, now where am I? I'm gone, yeah? Because I'm all of that. How beautiful. Yeah? What a beautiful space.
I think it's something that we can experience while we are practicing Reiki.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. One of the things I really like about the Reiki practice is that when you start the treatment, maybe in the beginning you still have some preconceived ideas. You see the client come in, you say, oh, he's very tall, or he's older or younger, or more beautiful, all the things that you think. But after maybe 5 or maximum 10, 15 minutes, all of that mind activity just ceases. And all you feel is your hands on the client's body.
I would like to say something that you talk very much in your workshops, that Reiki is not to get enlightened, but it's an enlightened action. Would you talk a little bit about it? Because I love that feeling that we are practicing already enlightenment when we are practicing Reiki.
Okay, I'm really a storyteller, yeah? So I would like to answer that question by going back a few years. When I was a teenager, I went to India to the infamous Osho community when he was there, and I became one of his gardeners. And he talked a lot about enlightenment, and enlightenment being the goal of his teaching. And so I kind of created this carrot in front of my nose that I was trying to catch. By definition, that carrot is unreachable, because you have placed it here in front of your face, and the distance was, whatever you do will always remain the same. So for about 20 years, I meditated with this longing, this dream to get enlightened sometime in the future, but that future never comes. It cannot come. The future can never come. Right? All that we have is the here and the now, this moment. And after about 20 years of running after that eternal carrot, one day I just started to laugh. I was just laughing and thinking, man, how stupid you are that you're running after something that by definition you can never reach. And I completely misunderstood Osho's message until then. He never said that. Yeah? So then I came across, I think it was Maezumi Roshi, another very beautiful Zen master, who talks about this concept of enlightened action. It was Suzuki Roshi, again, the same one, who said that strictly speaking, there is no enlightenment, because if enlightenment is the dissolution of the small self, the identification of the small self as wrong, as illusory, then who is there to get enlightened? There's nobody home, nobody there. So that doesn't work. So he said, strictly speaking, there is no enlightenment, but what there is either enlightened action or neurotic, unenlightened action. And we always know when we're acting in an enlightened way and when we're acting in a neurotic way. Yeah? We know, but we can't stop ourselves. Sometimes, let's say, I'm fighting with my wife, and inside I know I'm doing the wrong thing, and I should stop it now, but I can't. And I don't, and I continue. Yeah? So even though I know that I'm going into a neurotic action, I still continue doing it. It's a bad habit. So Suzuki Roshi and many other spiritual teachers, they show us and teach us and remind us to stop our neurotic action and change it into enlightened action. And one of the enlightened actions is meditation. Another one is Reiki. Beautiful. Yeah? So we don't meditate in order to get enlightened, but the meditation is the enlightenment, is the enlightened action. Same with Reiki. We don't do it to get something, to gain something, we do it for its own sake.
Can we say that is the thing, Reiki and meditation, or meditation is Reiki and Reiki is meditation?
Same. The founder of the Usui Reiki Ryoho, Usui Mikao Usui, he meditated on Mount Kurama, a mountain in the north of Kyoto, in 1922, actually to end his life. He fasted, he meditated, he didn't want to live anymore. He was very distressed about life, and he wanted to end his life by fasting unto death. Okay, guys, don't try this at home. It's really not necessary. And during that process, suddenly, doing, he got what he was looking for, his enlightenment. And then he went home and tried to think of a way to transport that love that he felt, that transcendence, that beauty that he felt, to translate it and to transport it to his students. And the result of that was and is Reiki. So really what Reiki is meditation in action, because it comes out of that meditative state that he was in. So like a love song, many of the guys who are listening to this know you, Jos. They know that you play music, you write songs. So when you write a song, you have some kind of emotion inside that you want to express. So that song has that feeling that you're trying to express, hopefully, in it. And then other people can feel it too. And Reiki is the same. Reiki has Usui Sensei's enlightenment in it.
And I think the special thing that Usui Sensei gave us is the transmission, that we can already practice that and discover this state of consciousness, a part of all dresses, all masks, and to be, or to remember who we are, to get into our essence.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's the magic of Reiki. I don't know how he managed it, but he did, yeah, with his initiation or Leiju, the way that he created that anybody could do what he could do is really magical. Yeah? And since we're talking about Reiki, I want to tell you guys that I'll be visiting Spain again, and of course not mainland Spain for now, but Mallorca. I'm going to visit Jos and Liz and lots of friends there. We're going to do a workshop on Japanese Reiki techniques, and these are all techniques that Usui Sensei either created or took and changed from other disciplines and taught to his students. And they're really fun. They're divided into three categories. One category are techniques that are practiced for your own personal growth, for your own personal transformation, meditation, cleansing, and breathing. And then there are lots of techniques to help you, to aid you in the work with your clients and your students. And then the third category is techniques that are for you to do with groups of people. So it's going to be really fun.
How did you start discovering these methods, call it techniques? How did you start to discover all of these treasures?
I came across them in 1995 and 96, when I was introduced to Shihan of the Usui Reiki Ryoho Gakkai, the original Usui Association in Tokyo. This man was 91 years old at the time, Ogawa Sensei, and he shared with me a document that was written by the then president of the Usui Association, Kimiko Koyama, or Koyama Sensei. And in it, she wrote about all these techniques, how to perform them, how to do them, how to practice them. He shared that with me. Then I practiced them for 2 years by myself until the end of, or 2.5 years, until the end of 1998. And I think in October or something of 98, for the first time, I started to teach them. So I've been teaching them for 27 years now. I do it all over the world, and every year I do it a few times. So those guys, you guys, if you're interested in joining us in September in Mallorca, it's really fun, and you're lucky that you haven't done it with me earlier, because now I have lots of experience with them. I've looked at them from all possible angles. I know them inside out, so it's going to be really, really, really fun for you and for your clients and students. So
Wow.
all of the techniques really are in favor of our clients and students. Yeah? Also the ones that are for our own personal transformation, because that again is in favor of our clients and students. It's not for you.
And even this is open to all Reiki lines and any kind of Reiki, isn't it?
Yes. And this is the nice thing about it. So the techniques, all the requirement that you need is you need to have learned Reiki somewhere. And it doesn't matter where. It doesn't have to be from Horst or from me or from anybody that we know. You could have learned Reiki anywhere on planet Earth, and then you can practice those techniques. There's nothing else that you need to do in order to be eligible for that.
Is it enough Reiki 1 or you need also Reiki 2 to
It's enough to do Reiki 1.
Okay. So I would like to talk about Hatsureiho because for when you start practicing Reiki, many people don't feel the energy in their hands. And this is a very beautiful method to do it. Could you talk a little bit about that? Because it's an interesting thing to practice nearly every day.
The Hatsuleiho techniques are several techniques that are for you to learn to feel, to perceive subtle energy when working on clients. And I guess Usui Sensei must have come across that because his students probably felt very secure and safe when in his presence, when working with him. But then when they went home, they probably became insecure and thinking, am I doing it right? Am I really feeling something here when I'm treating this person? Am I imagining it? All these thoughts that we know from our own experience when we were starting with Reiki. So this Hatsuleiho practice is for people to be able to practice and learn at home after the initiation to Reiki 1 or 2. So it's a very good way to practice by yourself. Fantastic. You don't need anybody else to help you, but you can
and even
learn by
in this workshop, sorry to interrupt you, but in this workshop, you are going to talk about Reiki history because in some places there are wrong things about the history. So as you lived in Japan for 12 years or so, so you could have more things to know about the real story.
I started researching the Reiki history in 1994, and I spent a big part of my life doing that. So the result of that is really a lot of solid information about Usui Sensei, his family, his students, his association, his work, his not only philosophy, but also the practical application of Reiki. So if you want to know a little bit more about what is documented, proven about Reiki history, I think you will enjoy hearing what I have to say about that.
Even from your book, This is Reiki, you have a lot of material about that we are translating now into Spanish, and we will have it for Spanish people. But I want to say something that you also was feeling in the past, that when I received first Reiki, I thought that it was not a real Japanese thing. That's why I was looking for, and then I started reading your book, This is Reiki, and I could see that there was a kind of Reiki that already was alive. Could you say?
So I think that the same thing that you just described, it happened to many of us, happened to me too. Same, the same story. I learned Reiki in the early 90s, in 92, I think, end of 92. And I was already living in Japan at the time with my previous wife. And I knew Japanese culture, I knew the language quite well already at the time. And when I learned it, I thought something is wrong. I like the energy, the application of Reiki, but I thought something is wrong, something is missing, something doesn't feel Japanese at all, because the key elements of Japanese spirituality were not in it. No meditation, no cleansing, no breathing, all these important things that I knew are always part of Japanese traditional arts. So because of that doubt that I had in my mind, I started to research and then luckily came across what I was looking and longing for.
So this is another point that you are going to talk about, a special thing that is the soul of Reiki. I mean the Gakkai guidance. Could you talk a little bit more? Because in some places, the Gakkai are not recognized, acknowledged. So could you talk about the 5 principles?
So the Gakkai, Go means 5 and Kai is principle or precepts. 5, what shall we call them? Suggestions for conduct by Usui Sensei. And he put them together, we think, by what was the spirit of the times in the late 1800s, early 1900s in Japan. So he created them himself, and they are only today. Don't be angry. Don't worry. Be grateful. Do your duties, act responsibly, do what's right, and be kind to others. And I remember when I learned about them, first of all, they were not translated correctly into German at the time or English, but they seemed to have this air, this feeling of morality. And then when I got into Reiki more deeply, I realized that they have nothing to do with morality at all. Not at all, but they're really a map of your inner development. And for that, they're great, because when working with and living the principles, the Gakkai, you realize where you are in your spiritual development. You know in which part of your inner world there still needs to be some work to be done. And you can also see where you have come from, how you have changed already in the past years since you began to practice. And you can see the same in others. You can see where they have, your students or your friends, where they have succeeded, where they still need more work. It's really like a roadmap to your inner development. Fantastic. Yeah? They're not moral guidelines like do this or do that, and if you don't do this or that, you go to hell. It's not like that at all. It's really practical, a practical method to see where you are and to see what you need to do in order to be happy.
So we could say that they are a kind of daily meditation for introspection and to put the things in their place, in the right place.
Yes, exactly. That's how I see them. And the other good thing about the Gakkai is that any one of us can practice them as we are right now. So you don't need to be a better person, more spiritual, more evolved, more. No, you can practice them just as you are right now. Perfect. Don't need to change.
Natural, to be natural.
Yes, just as you are.
I think that this is the message of Reiki, to become natural as you really are, not to...
I agree, yeah. Not to hanker for something else, that carrot that we've been talking about earlier, that dangles in front, that you yourself have installed in front of your nose.
And when during the Reiki practice we touch another one, it's like to remind this soul to be in the first start place.
It's all, I think, any spiritual school, any spiritual discipline is all about learning to be present, to be here, to be in this moment. And Reiki is magic. Touch is magic in that, because when you touch somebody or yourself, you immediately anchor yourself in the present moment. Yes, fantastic. A great.
That's very important thing. So what would you say, something else to talk about the workshop, or what would you like to say a little bit more about?
So I'm going to be teaching you techniques, lots of techniques for your own inner development, for working with clients and for working with groups. But the whole focus of the workshop is going to be pointing your attention to the fact that you don't need techniques, and that Reiki is not a technique. Reiki is very simple. Just put your hands on your body or somebody else's and forget everything else. This is the real thing. We use the techniques to get to this simplicity.
To the essence of life.
Yes.
Okay, so for me it would be all, and we are waiting here for the coming September to be here together and sharing this wonderful workshop in Mallorca. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, and a big hug. And okay, thank you. Thank you for being...
See you there. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for all your writings and for your message and for your life. Thank you.
Thank you.